All right, so this little tutorial is for InDesign Resume, and it's a grid-based project. I'm already losing my voice, I've just started. So I apologize for that. So originally we had in the course outline a link to an online tutorial to create a grid-based design, and it was for this specific resume right here. So Stevenson, curriculum vitae, you know, and then you can see this is a screen cap off, so you have your edge of your document right here. You have the margin, which is in pink. You have the number of columns you have there. You have the light blue, which is a guide in the middle here. And then you have those lines that run across. And what that is, it's the baseline grid. And so this exercise is to, you know, basically work within a grid-based design, working with the baseline grid, and see the baseline grid is the text basically snaps to it. So when you run across, so everything is all lined up and it looks beautiful because it looks like basically like a lined paper, right? Once you hide all that stuff, because all of those are in your guides, when you hide all that stuff, you just have the regular document and it doesn't look like any of that. It looks just like a blank page and you just have the text floating and it just looks very, very well balanced and very well organized. So I'm going to try to recreate that very quickly. So first of all, when you start a new document in InDesign, you go new document, and I'm going to pick a print format, go 8.5 by 11, letter size, sure, put it in inches, no facing pages because it's a single page document. And remember this document right here, it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns, a little bit of a gap in between. I'm thinking it's a 1/4 inch and about 1/2 inch margin all around. So this is what we're going to set up right here. So I already have the 1/2 inch margin right here. I'm going to make it 5 columns, 1/4 inch. No need for bleed because I don't think there's anything that steps out of. Oh yes, there is. So that tiny little blue bar down here, and then the little bit of blue bar up there that steps out. Therefore, you need a bleed. So we're going to put a 0.125, which is 1/8 inch bleed, and we're going to go create. So right there, I have the basics for my document. Oh, and my mouse just froze. So I can drop that in there, my document right in there, just as a visual reference, and it just you know, click it in there. So it's a little larger than my page, so I'm just going to quickly scale it down, and hopefully it's about the same format. So it looks like it's kind of almost is. Yes, it is. So this is just my reference. So I'm just going to put it on the side right there, right? I understand that there is a, I'm just going to push this out of the way. We had in the resources folder under InDesign, video tutorials, that's not what I'm looking for. Copy for assignment 5, resume. So there you go. So there's the copy for Stevenson. And this is a web version. So I'm going to, let's see if I can do that, if I can drop it in, because it's text, right? So, yes, it is, look at that. Yes, so I just grabbed the text over, dragged it over, and then I have the text right in there. So it's just gonna be just rough looking for now. It looks like there's some weirdness going on there. We're going to ignore that. I think it's the idea is, I think it's a dash or an M dash like this. So to find and replace little, oh yeah, there's lots of those. Okay, so that didn't work really well. You know what? We're going to forget about it. We're just going to use it as is. So I'm going to push it on the side again. This is just my content. I'm just going to grab it on the side. So first things first, you want to have your baseline grid, all those little gray lines, right? So you go under view, and then you show grids and guides, and you show baseline grid right here. I keep losing, there it is. So as you can see here, it starts right at my top margin, right? Just like in this document right there, right? So I'm just gonna crop it like this so we can see just that page right here. You can see it's you know, right at the top right there. And it looks about the same, so except it goes all the way past my bottom margin. that's fine for now. To customize your baseline grid, it is usually by standard, it's a 12-point grid, meaning when you put a text box in there and then you fill it in with placeholder text, and you go into your, I'm going to try to move this window out of the way all the time. You go into your paragraph right there, go to the little hamburger menu right there, and you go into paragraph rules. No, you know what? I'm going to create a style quickly. This looks like a sans serif of some kind. So I'm just going to go with, I don't know, Montserrat, just for not the alternate version, just for demonstration. The light, it's a little light, so I'm going to go regular. There you go. So regular font, 12 point. So this is just to set some styles quickly, right? So that might be a little bit large. Ooh. I'm going to do 10 point. And I'm going to set up my paragraph style. So right here, I'm just going to click on it, create a new style, paragraph style 1. I'm going to apply it to that paragraph. I'm going to double click on it, and then I get into the paragraph style dialog window. So I'm going to call it body copy. It's not based on anything because there's nothing to base it on. And this is what you see in your control bar at the top, right? Montserrat, regular, 10 points, etc. Right? So at this point, I want to align to grid, all lines. And this is what happens, right? So before, after, and now you can see the lines, the text aligns to every single line. Again, the baseline grid is based on the 12, probably a 12-point grid, as in 12 point as in the leading, the space in between the lines. So if I reduce the type, it still sticks to those lines, right? Even though it's a lower leading by automatic leading, right? And you can see it sticks to that, right? So now if I want to, let's say, increase that, but if I want to increase the leading, then it jumps a line, right? So because it goes over the 12-point leading, then it bumps it to the second line automatically, right? So if I decrease that and then snap it back to 12, it sticks to the 12-point baseline grid, right? That's kind of how it functions, right? So the cool thing about that is you click OK for now. This is just for demonstration right now. If you want to change your baseline grid and you want to increase that, right, make it a little wider or a little bit more spaced out, I should say, or tighter, all you have to do is you go into your InDesign preferences, and I believe it's in the guides and pasteboards in there. And there, let's see, I'm trying to remember where things are. Units and increments. Guides option, no, this is just a color. Pasteboard option, no, that's not it. It's in there somewhere. I'm gonna go through them, all of them, because I rarely do that. So we're gonna go and discover that. So discover your preferences, so you can change your, your color and all that type of stuff. Type, that's not it. Units and increments. This is your basically your rulers, the amount of spaces, how it's measured. It's in points, etc., etc. Grids. There you go. See, grids. It's not guides and pasteboard. It's in grids. So not in this one, just the one above. Duh. So and here there it is. So there's your light blue lines, right? It starts at 0.5 of an inch, which is my margin, and you can start it lower or higher. Relative to the top of the page, right? Of course, you can go top margin, right? For example, I'll keep it at top of the point, and then there's my increments, right? 12 point, again, that's based on the leading. So if you want to increase that to, let's say, 14, and click OK, there my lines are a lot wider, and then suddenly the text snaps to something a little bit more extended. So it gives a little bit more space to it, right? So you can select that. You don't even have to select that. You can just go and double click in your paragraph style and then increase the leading if you want. So right now it's already at 14. So anything below 14 doesn't matter. It'll still snap to the grid. Anything above 14-point leading, it'll snap to the second one again, right? So just as an example, you can just increase or decrease the size of the font at this point, doesn't matter. 10-point is plenty. So this is kind of, the basics of this this particular exercise. So we're gonna put that away for now. You know what? We're gonna create a title like this, which is education, for example. So we're gonna add a return right there. We're gonna go title style, and we're gonna make that guy a little bit bolder, fatter, color, etc. So we're gonna go and pick, let's say, bold. And again, we're gonna create a new style, because you can see the little plus right there, meaning it's been edited outside of your paragraph style. So we're gonna create a new one, paragraph style one again. I apply it, and then I double click on it, and then I can edit it even more, right? So I can go into, let's say, character color, because it's an awful looking blue. So I'm just gonna go pure cyan. And then I'm gonna add a little space after. So as soon as I do that, it'll bump my my space to my paragraph style, text to the next baseline grid, right? So because it adds a little bit of space after. So as long as I don't go too far, it snaps to the following line, right? So that's all I need. That's just all I want right now. I'm gonna make it just a little bigger, so I have a little bit more of a hierarchy in this thing. I can keep it tracking. I can just keep it as is, really. I don't really need to have it really fancy. So I'm just gonna go okay for now. So I have a title. Oops, I forgot to name it. Title 1. The cool thing about paragraph styles is you can also create your own shortcuts. So you need to have a full-size keyboard, so it doesn't work on laptops. Sorry, folks. But other shortcuts for any of the software, it's usually Command on the Mac keyboard. It's Command or Alt on the PC. So it's Command and a letter or a number within the main keyboard. And if you have the extended keyboard that has the little number pad on the right-hand side, this is how you can create your custom shortcuts, because all of the numbers and all the letters are already taken. You need to step out and then go into the full-size keyboard. So here I'm going to go, because it's title 1, I'm going to go Command 1, and it shows me the shortcut right there, Command plus number 1. And again, that's the number on the right-hand side on the extended keyboard. And basically, you're creating your own shortcut for your titles, right? So I like to go personally with, let's say, body copy is going to be Command 0. So that's my baseline, quote unquote, my start, for my text. And then title 1, I use title 1. I use Command number 1. And if I have a subtitle, like a smaller, thinner, lighter title, and I call it title 2, and I use Command number 2. That's basically my my standards of how to set up those shortcuts. What we can do as well is we can set up a character style. And a character style is, for example, that one word right there, I want to highlight it. So I'm going to go with a bold. And if you look at your paragraph style, it's been edited. Again, you get a little plus, so it's been edited outside of. So I'm going to create a character style for that. Again, same thing. Create a new character style, apply it, double click on it, call it bold, shortcut, and then this is how I work for my paragraphs versus my character styles. Is paragraphs is Command and a number, and for my character styles I go Command Shift and a number. So I tend to go personally, because it's a muscle memory thing, Command Shift 0 for my bold, Command Shift 7 for my italics, because the letter, the number is slanted, right? It looks like a 7, so it looks like it's italic. Command 9 for superscript, small numbers, above the baseline. And so on. So Command 1 for subscript. And then after that, as I said, personal choices, right? It's whatever works for you, whatever you work with, and however you remember them. So Command Shift, Command 0, that allows me to do this. So I can select a word right there and I apply it with a shortcut, and then there it is, right? And I use my keyboard to switch from one paragraph to another. title here. Again, fill it with placeholder text. And in my title, again, it's command 1. So I just apply command 1 and boom, there it is. So I see that there's in here in the original Stevenson resume right here, there's a little bit of a space before that title to really separate things. And here I don't have it right there. So I'm going to go back into my paragraph style, my title 1, double click on it. And I'm going to add, so I have a space after to create that gap after, but I'm going to go with space before to add a space before, and then that really separates it. So it's the same as that. At this point, I have a couple of styles. I can start working with that. And I'm going to maybe create a style for this because this is a one-off, the big name and then the big curriculum vitae. It's a bit of a one-off. The address, website, email, all that stuff is also a little bit of a one-off. So you know what, at this point, I'm not going to bother to create a new style. However, I have a bullet style right here. So how do you do bullets, right? So I'm going to delete all that stuff. I'm going to fill it with placeholder text. Let's see. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a bunch of returns so I can create, a list, basically, quickly, just like that. Delete all that. So now I have a bunch of returns. I can go into my control bar right up here, and you can see on the right-hand side there, I have my bullets right there. They're preset, so I can go with just a little dot, or I can have a number set up or whatever. If you don't see those paragraph controls, you can switch between your character control and your paragraph control. And because my screen is wide, they just switch from left to right side. But on a laptop, you will have one at a time, right? So you switch to the paragraph style, and then there's your bullet right here. So you know what, and again, it's been edited right there, and I'm going to create a new style right there. I'm just gonna go, paragraph style 1. I'm gonna call that bullet, double click on it, bullet. Oops, typo, thank you very much, right there. And if I go into my laundry list on the left-hand side, the list of options I have bullets and numbering right here. So it is the standard character right there, which is, I believe, option 8, that gives you that bullet shape, right? By default, the text after this little character right there is a tab. So you can go through the options right here, and this is a tab, right? So if I delete this, let's see, and now I want to tab it between my bullet and my text. I just go like this, and this is the tab. And you can have an M space instead, an M dash, etc. So those little dashes right there. So this is the difference between all that stuff. A hairline, a paragraph symbol, blah, 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 blah. You have all those options. I'm going to stay with tab. Okay, sure. I got to delete all of those and just make one tab. Character style right now, there's no style because I have not created a bullet character style, such as, for example, a blue highlight, which is what he has right there. So, but what I can do is I can create my own paragraph, my own character for my bullet. So I can add my own character. And here I have the typeface I'm using, which is Montserrat. And you access all the characters, including all the glyphs. So this is where it gets a little complicated. And I have some symbols in there, and say Montserrat has a square bullet. So I'm going to use that. And I'm going to add it and click OK. And now I have that little square bullet right there. So instead of that tiny little dot, I'm going to use that guy right there. And then suddenly it's a thicker, square, bolder bullet. So it's a little bit more visible, right? What you have here by default is also a left indent and the first line indent in negative, meaning when your bullet is a little longer than one line, such as the last two there on the example that I have, meaning the text will line up automatically 1/4 of an inch away from my edge, meaning your first line of text has a negative indent of 0.25, meaning the bullet will be lined up to the edge of your the left edge of your text frame, and then you have a left indent of 1/4 of an inch afterwards. So this is your negative indent, and because the tab character between the bullet and the text is set at 1/4 of an inch, and then everything lines up, right? to make sure that everything lines up. As I said, you can change that, you can modify that, right? So you can go, left indent, there it is, right? So the whole thing moves, including the bullet. So you want to have a little bit more space, you gotta have the same amount of space, same amount of indent right there in negative, right? And that's how it functions. It's a little tricky at first, it's a bit of a brain wrap, but believe me, it's pretty simple. The tab is how it's set up. Right now, there's no tab set up, but you can, you have your left justified tab, your center, your right, and then your line on a decimal or character, such as a comma, a point, a period, etc. So this is more for financial tables and whatnot. But here, left justify, and you can put your tab right there. You click between the ruler right here and in that little white little margin right there, and you can create your tab. If you move it around, you see your measurements right there change, right? Or you can use the little arrows. You don't want this one, you just drag it up. So this one is my first tab. So remember my my first line indent, and then there was a tab after the bullet character. Well, here I can change it as much as I want. It doesn't matter because my left indent and my negative indent is at 0.25. So if I increase it, nothing changes. However, if I go a little less, this is what happens. So the gap in between my bullet right now and in the text right here is my tab right there, which is at 0.125. And that's in my first line indent. And then the first line indent is negative. And then the rest of the text is a positive at 0.25. So it really messes things up here. So I want to keep it, at 0.25. So things line up basically. So I know, a lot to take, take it easy, go slow, understand how it functions, play with it, right? Doesn't have to be perfect. But again, the best and most simple things is you go into your bullet numbering and then stick with that, right? Tab position, etc. It's all in here as well. I stick to the 0.25, which is 1/4 inch, and it's just as easy, right? So click OK, and now the thing is, I want to create a character style, and because I want to have that bullet in blue. So I create a new character style. I don't have to have anything turned on. I double click on it. Come on, double click on it. I call it bullet blue, right? I can set up with a shortcut. I don't really need to at this point. And so if you go through the list on the left-hand side, you have the character, the font family. I can leave all that stuff blank because it doesn't matter which font I use. All I want is that little bullet to change color. So I'm not touching any of that stuff. I'm just going to go straight to character color, and I'm just going to apply the blue. And that's it. That's the only thing I'm changing in here. I'm not changing the size. You can do that as well. You can change the family font. You can change it to whatever you want. You can change the size. Right now, I'm just going to keep it simple. I just want to change the color, and that's all I'm doing. And click OK. So now I have a character color, but I need to apply it for that bullet right here. So again, switch back to my paragraph style. Sorry, wrong window. Right there. My paragraph style, my bullet right there. So I'm going to double click on my bullet. And I go back into my bullet and numbering. And again, this is the bullet that I'm using that I've created earlier. Pick my own character for that. And then here's my character style, and there's none applied, but I've made one. So here, it shows up. There's my bold that I have for just highlighting some words. And then I have my bullet blue right there. So I apply that. Preview is turned on, and now it's blue, just like that. And this being a color that is in your swatches, it's the cyan that is in there. If you want to change that color, if you don't like the cyan, you can just go, double click on that color. So, and then now here you're editing your swatch, right? So let's say I want to add reduce the blue a little bit, so make it a little bit more tealy, and then add a little bit of green, and there it is. Now it's green. There's the difference. Before, after. So I'm just customizing it ever so slightly. So here, now that I have some text styles, some paragraph styles, I can just, delete that stuff. And I'm going to start with a big title, Stevenson Curriculum Vitae. So I have the name right there. And for some reason, Curriculum Vitae is not right below there. So I'm just going to, copy that guy. And I'm going to create a text frame. So the text frame will be 4 columns, right? Starting up here into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. give or take. I'm gonna paste it in there. I'm going to apply my style number 1, right? Remember the shortcut, Command 1, and I have something in here right away, right? So at this point, I don't want to create a style just for that guy because that's a lot of work just for one style, one off. So I'm just going to go switch back to my character control. I'm just going to press and hold my shift key, and then if I click on one of those little arrows, it goes 10 at a time. So I go, 30, 40 point, and because it looks like it's aligned to the right hand side, I'm going to do that. I'm going to align it right, and it snaps to the right hand side. And now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to change, go into my swatches, and this is the color, the fill, and your stroke of your object. So you can see your object right here has no color in there, and this is the color of your font. So right now it tells me that it's multiple colors. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna go change the color of my object into the green there, or the blue, I should say, the teal. Then I'm gonna change my font to white. And there's my first text box. So it has a little bit of that, bleed over. So we're gonna cheat. We're going to cheat. We're gonna do this. We're gonna extend it out past the edge of the document into the bleed. And then I'm going to right click on it, text frame options, and I'm going to add an inset. So basically it's like an inner margin within your text frame. So here right now they're all linked. So if I create a text inset, it goes all the way around and it bumps my text out, right? So I'm gonna unlink that one, and it's just from the right hand side. I'm just gonna add them out. Oh no, sorry, the left. I get my right and my left confused. And as I do this, you can see there's a little bit of a blue line right here, and it pushes my text over. So I'm just gonna do that right there until I match my, my margin. So it's 0.625 because ½ inch margin and then 1/8 of an inch bleed. And there it is. Stevenson is starting to look good. How many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, one more. Sure. Another thing is this is snapping to, again, my baseline shift, right? My baseline grid, I should say, sorry. So let's see, if I, again, right click on it again, text frame options, and if I change instead of the inset, mind you, I can do that. I could, try to bump, yeah, there you go. I can do a bumping of the text down by just adding an inset. But you can also justify your text vertically in the text box. By default, it's always at the top, but you can bring it to the bottom or to the center. So in this case, the center, it'll still snap to that baseline grid right there, right? So this is perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. So it's one object right here, one frame, Stevenson. Oh, it's Steve Stevenson. See, text is different. Let's call him Steven. Curriculum vitae, same thing right there. It's all in lowercase. And again, it's in its own little block of blue there. So I could do multiple things to do the exact same thing to end up with the same result. I mean, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that text frame. I'm going to type curriculum vitae, and I'm going to reduce that guy, make it a little smaller. And again, that I don't need to create paragraph style for that guy. So I'm just going to go, instead of bold, I'm going to go medium, so it's a little lighter. 20 point, it seems a little bit large. 18, there you go. And then same thing, I'm just going to snap it to, I think it's an odd colon because it goes into the margin. So I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to snap it right there. Something simple like this. So again, text frame options, it's actually in the center right there. I can bring it to the top and extend this guy just a little bit, and it's in the right spot. So what I can do here, because they're overlapping a little bit, you can see that this one is biting into the S's. So what I can do is I can arrange it and then move it to the back, send to back. There, now it's this text frame, which is right here, does not bite into those letters. It's overlapping it. It's perfectly fine. It's as good as it gets, right? It's for demonstration purposes. It doesn't have to be super pretty, right? So Now I'm going to start putting some text in there, right? Employment. Let's see. Do I have some employment in there? Yeah, there it is. Friendlyleopard.com. I'm looking at that. Friendlyleopard.com. Yeah. Okay. So here, same thing is he's got an extra paragraph style with kind of a mini sub kind of thing with it's kind of low res, unfortunately, but this is like a bolder type. And then there's an indent paragraph style right here. So I'm going to recreate that very quickly. So I'm just going to grab that stuff. So employment, and then flying bananas and golden kangaroo. My goodness, this guy has quite the experience. So I'm going to copy all that and make my text frame. Oh, this is really tight. So I'm going to put it like right here. So I'm going to line it up to the bottom of the curriculum text frame right there. And I'm going to make it 3 columns, right? 1, 2, 3 to match right there. And I'm going to paste that in there. So I lost my cursor right there. So I'm just going to paste the text in there. Again, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to extend it out, but you can see that there's a little red square right there. It means that the text frame is a little shorter than it needs. So I can, select all like this, Command A, go into my paragraph style, and then apply body copy right there, right? So this employment being my title 1, this guy needs to be a bit of a bolder style. So I'm going to create a new style for that. So I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go the other way around. This guy right here should be below that. It's first the date, right? So present, there you go. So this guy right here needs to be, let's say, semi-bold, and 10 point, sure, we're going to keep it at 10 point. So we're going to make that guy my body copy from now on, and then I'm going to recreate another style for that as my indent. So as you can see, this one shows the little plus right there. You can right click on that and you go redefine style. So if I redefine the style, my original body copy style that you can see in my document right here will be exactly like that. So if I click on that, now everything is the same. So it's a quick way to do it. And it's not exactly necessarily the best way to do it. But now I have all that stuff within the same style, right? So it's still my body copy, but except I just updated it quickly, right? So this, I want to have what I had earlier, but I want to have that indent. So I'm going to go body indent, call a spade a spade. It is based on body copy this time, right? As you can see. Semi-bold, I want to go to regular, right? And you can see it. And I'm going to go create an indent right there. And I'm going to go 1/4 of an inch, just like that. It still snaps to my baseline grid, right? Remember that. And click OK. Now I can apply that body indent to all that stuff. Body indent. Body indent. It's actually the other way around. Actually, this one should be my body copy. So this weird character there should be an M dash, an M dash, sorry. And so, whoa, what's going on here? So I just cut that, paste it, and then move it up, basically. So I'm just switching the dates with the actual, location. So that being, again, an M dash. So there's the difference between your M dash and your dash. So there's a dash is just a regular, dash. An N dash, also known as EN dash, it's option dash, and it's a little longer. An M dash is option shift and that dash. And you see the difference between those characters, right? So all of those have a different use, right? A little dash there is usually a hyphen, basically. When you do a date range, you use an N dash. And when you use a quote, for example, like a quote from Napoleon, an image is worth 1,000 words, then you put the M dash and then you put Napoleon's name on it. So that's already, coming together pretty nicely. There's a couple of things I want to, address right there. For example, I have hyphenation within my text, right? So I'm not really happy about that. I still have some character styles and paragraph styles assigned. So I want to get rid of that quickly. So what I have here is I have my body indent has that hyphenation. So I want to get rid of that. Double click on my body indent paragraph style, go into the list right here, find hyphenation, which is right smack in the middle. And I'm going to just turn it off right there. And then that does it, right? Before, after. Another cool thing about that is you see, like, you can see that there's a lot of, the line right here is very long right here, and then there's a huge gap at the bottom down there. So what you can do is in your indent and spacing, you can also use that little option of balanced ragged line. So you click on that, and then suddenly it kind of rearranges your paragraph so it looks a little bit more, you know, contained and a little bit more in control, instead of having super long lines and then suddenly you have two words on one line at the end, and creates those weird unbalanced paragraphs. So you click on that and it's just lovely right there. Lovely, I say, lovely. I did say lovely. What I want to do is, you know, just by hitting the W key when I don't have my cursor in the text box, if I hit my W key, it shows me the preview. If I look at that going, yeah, this is nice, but you know, I don't want to again change my my body copy there, those little dates right there. I shouldn't call it body copy, I should call it something else, but it doesn't matter. But I'm going to change it to a tint of a color. Right now, by default, it's black, and I want to bring it to, let's say, 70%. So it's a little softer, not as a high contrast. And now we're looking like it's a curriculum vitae from California right there. And then you can keep on going like this, right? You can, you know, place all that information in there. So you have that one text box right there. So I'm just going to put like a tint to it, just to the background so you can see it. So I'm going to make it blue, but I'm going to make it super, super light, right? So you can see what's happening right there. And then again, that education, computer skills, interest right there. It's another text frame right here that just, you know, lines up perfectly. You have all your styles for all of those bullets, your titles, your, you know, your text, etc., etc. It's just a matter of applying the styles, right? So the computer skills, for example, this is right here. So I'm going to grab that. And oh yeah, so this is one paragraph. So there's actually commas instead of return. So perfect example. So I'm going to create this bell right here. Oops, there you go. Right here, I'm just going to put it right here, snap to my margins, and then paste that stuff. Select all of this, go to my paragraph styles, and then body indent. Computer skill is my body copy, which should be my, it should be called curriculum vitae title, or dates, actually. You know what, let's call it dates. There you go, easier. So here I have my computer skills. Oh, it's computer skills is actually title 1. Sorry, my bad. After that, it's software. So I have return right here, and this is my dates right there. Now, all of that stuff should be in a bullet, right? So instead of a bullet, I have a comma and a space. So what I want to do is I want to select that comma and the space, right? Select that comma and the space, copy that. So I use Command C or Alt C for you guys, for PC guys. And I want to go into find and replace, basically. So I know the shortcut, I can't remember. So there you go, find and change, which is Command F, right, as for find. And what you're going to look for, we're going to go and paste that comma and that space in there. So find what? Find this. There's my comma and my space right there. And I'm going to change it to a return. So I'm going to hit return. So you can either go through the list right here. You can go end of paragraph, break line, force line, symbol. You can put a bunch of stuff, marker, etc. So you can go through the list here. But I just hit return right on my keyboard. And I'm not going to go through the selection because I'm going to search, I should say, through the selection because I only have this selected. I can go through the whole document that way. I can replace every comma with a space after into a return. Or I can go with a story, and the story is within that text frame. So that's exactly what I want to do. And you can go into case sensitive. So if it's, for example, if you're looking for a word that is capitalized or not capitalized, you want to capitalize it, etc. So you have all those little options as well within that. I'm not going to go through that right now. It's just too much. So I'm going to go find next, right, which is this one. And I'm going to go change and find. And it selects it. Oh, see, it didn't do my return. Oh, Come on, you stinker. Forced line break type. Hyphen break character. I want a paragraph break, column break, frame break, page break. No, 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 no. Oh, come on. It's not in there. Can you believe that? Okay, so we're gonna change it. I'm gonna undo that. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna copy a return character, which is right here. You don't see it. So if you want to see your invisible character, such as a space, you know, a return, etc., or tab in other cases, you're going to type and you go to the very bottom right down here. You'll show hidden characters. And here you have a return character or paragraph return character. Here you have a space and then the return character. So all those little blue dots, that's a space. Well, the tab is already built in. So if I add a tab, for example, as an example, if I hit tab right there in front, right there, you get the double chevron thing, and that's a tab character. And it's set at 1/4 of an inch, as set earlier. So what I want to do is I want to do this. I want to cheat a little bit. I want to copy that character. So, you know, Command C. And again, I go back into my edit. Find and change. So again, I have my comma and my space, and I want to change to Command V, which is paste. And this is what my character, my return character looks like. It's a kind of chevron up and a P, right? And I'm going to search within the whole story. So I kind of cheated that way. So find next. Oh, it finds my whole thing because it's in the story. So this is the wrong thing. This is not working for me. There you go. Okay, so let's put in your cursor in there. Command F. Within the story, right? So find next. There it is. I don't know why it bumped into a different text box. Oh well. Find next, and you go change and find. And now, as you can see, it replaced my comma and my space for a return character. So this is a long explanation for something very short and very simple. But I'm going to go, you know what? Instead of changing and find one at a time, I'm going to go change all. And then 10 replacements right there. Boom, done. There you go. So now that I have my software, computer skills, Photoshop, Illustrator, Flash, etc., all that stuff now can be my bullet. And it's done. Languages. Oh, I'm missing the languages. Oh, TextMate is one of them. It's poorly set. So bullet again, languages, return that. This is my dates. And my bullet is bold for some reason. Okay, this is not happy. Anyways, I'll fix that later. But this is pretty much so hand-coded, basic answer. I'm looking at the return right there. So again, same thing. You can grab all that stuff, put a bullet to that, and bingo, you're done. So why is it all bold? Is because I screwed up. Ah, see, even the best screw up. You can go into the character style, and no, it's not bolded. Oops, I have to go into my paragraph style again. My dates and my bullet. My bullet was likely was based on my that character style, which is now called dates. And then because I changed the font, I made it a little bolder. My bullets have changed as well because if I double click on it, it is based on dates. There it is. There's my mistake. I can go no paragraph style, but then I still have to change it to regular. So yeah, see, even the best guys can screw it up. And my bullet, again, it has also a hyphenation, so I'm going to get rid of that. Double click on that, hyphenation, turn it off, indent spacing, and I'm going to go again, balance ragged lines, and makes it a little happier right there. Again, all the text snaps to the baseline grid, right? So if I take this off, I get rid of the color, right? So now things are snapping up. So if I move this text box ever so slightly, slowly like this, you can see the text is like snapping, boom, snap, snap. I move the text box frame, it still moves up, the text doesn't, and it's finally, boop, it snaps to the line, right? Exactly what's happening if I was moving it with the arrows from my keyboard, move it up, and then you the text finally goes, there it goes. I know where I'm supposed to go, right here, boom. So I don't want that. I want to give it myself a little bit more room because there's the address and the name and contact info right up here. You can put it up here as well. So it's basically, you have the structure right there. At this point, you can add, you know, an illustration. You can add your little blue bottom down there, the little blue shape. I go to basic rectangle tool. I go from my my bleeds, right, because it goes past the edge right there, and it's really hard to line up again. So because it's like the baseline grid, the text snaps to it, but not necessarily objects. So what I want to do is I want to just delete that again, and I want to go into view, and I can go snap to document grid. That's something else. Hide the baseline grid. You can hide it, so you don't have to see it at all times. You can show the baseline grid, but you can also snap. So you have to go multiple times to do the same thing. You can also snap, I believe, to. Well, you can't. I thought you could snap to the baseline grid. No, the baseline grid is only for the text. You can snap to the document grid. The document grid is that show document grid right there, and that's a more like a, you know, it's just that, right? It's like it shows a lot of items like this because it's basically a grid that breaks your document into, well, in this case, 1 line per inch with 8 divisions. So you know you got 1/8 of an inch, quarter, 3/8, etc., etc. So this is your document grid, and you can snap items to that specific document grid. You can go, let's see, grid and guides. You can go snap to guides, snap to document grid. So anything I bring in here, it'll snap to this, right? It's kind of like magnetic a little bit. No, it's not. Oh, come on, work with me here. There, it's turned on. I just turned it off. So here, there it goes. Now it kind of snaps to it, right? So you have the perfect measurements and it always kind of snaps to it. Even if you're slightly off, you know, you bring it over and it just snaps over. And by doing, you know, moving around, it snaps, right? So this is a way to build stuff very, very quickly. So I want to hide that. In this case, I don't really need it, but I'm going to do that anyway. I'm going to make that tiny, tiny little blue line at the bottom. So I'm going to create just a 1/8 of an inch margin just at the top, at the bottom, maybe like this. And just to have a little color accent right here, like so. Simple stuff, right? Right, yeah, even I screw things up sometimes and I have to back up. So, you know, don't be afraid to screw things up as well. I am going to undo the snap to the document grid, and I'm going to hide it as well. Hide document grid right there. So I'm just, you know, keeping my columns where things are in, you know, lined up and everything. This guy should be actually lining up to this right here. And now we have a resume with a grid-based design. Another thing you can do as well, because right now you have columns, but what if you want to have a bunch of guides? So you can do, you know, you can snap, you know, snap guides, you know, from the top here, from your ruler right here. If you show your ruler, first of all, you have to show the ruler, of course. So hide ruler or show ruler, which is Command R or Alt R. You click in the ruler and drag it down, and here you have a guide, right? So that allows, that helps you, you know, build something and when things line up, etc., right? So another cool thing about this is you in InDesign versus Illustrator and Photoshop is if you drag a ruler within your document, it stays within the page. If you drag it out into the pasteboards, the ruler extends past the edge of your document, right? And it goes right across the whole pasteboard, right? You can see that little blue line right there. And you can, you know, select them, delete them, whatever. You can lock them so they don't move anymore. But again, if you go under View, Snap to Document Grid, so I'm going to show the document grid right there. And then you can bring those and snap to it, right? Snap, 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 snap. So you can go, you know what? I'm going to put it at exactly 4 inches right there. There's my guide right there. So that's a way to do some guides quickly. Another way to do it, if you want to have a grid, such as, you know, number of columns in this case, if you want to have a grid, a bunch of horizontal lines to really help you build this document, you go under layout and you go create guides. And within that, so I'm not going to worry about the columns because I already have them built, but I can create a bunch of rows right here. So if I, you know, add a bunch of rows, you can see the lines appearing right there, right? My gutter, remember the gutter was 1/4 of an inch, so I want to keep it the same, consistent, 1/4 of an inch. And I have 5 rows right now starting from the margins, right? So the first line right there sits at the margin, and then it divides that whole page right here from margin to margin into 5 equal rows. You can see the line faintly in the background. You know, you want more of them, you just add them up. So I'm just going to keep it, you know, let's say 8. So it looks a little bit like a square, maybe 7. Yeah, so it's almost like a bit of a square grid, right? And then click OK. At this point, I can go, you know what? I'm going to snap this guy right here. It doesn't really matter if I snap it right there because it snaps to the baseline grid. So I have this, I have my computer skills. I want to snap it here. Let's see if it helps. There you go, perfect. And now I get a little bit of a square area for my address and contact info, etc. So that's another way to work and design a grid-based document is you create guides and you snap it to either the document baseline or the document grid like this, or your baseline grid. So I think I'm going to stop because I'm going to bore everybody to death if I keep on going, because this is a very, very boring resume. But basically, this is, you know, everything is ready, right? This is the tools are set, right? I have my colors, I have my paragraph styles, I have some character styles for my bullets, for my bold type, etc., etc. So if I want to have, you know, like for example, a friendlyleopard.com, I forgot to use that style. I made it, but I didn't use it. So I go, you know, remember my shortcut, Command-Shift-0. There you go. And then now we have a little bit of hierarchy right there. Since I built my body indent and it was based on dates, again, it influences because I changed the dates, remember, and I made it a 70% or 75% gray. Everything is gray. So I'm gonna go back into my character color, 70%, there you go. Go 100%, there you go. Now we have something a little bit, that makes a little bit more sense right there. Such as, just like that. My bullets as well, same thing. My bullet is also pretty light. There you go, now this is black, this is gray. Sometimes you have to go back and forth, especially when you base a style based on the previous one, you change it and then everything changes. I have no idea what those characters were supposed to be, but it's interesting. I think this is not supposed to be a return. IE6, RB on Rails. I have no idea what that is. I'm going to delete that, delete, add a space. There you go, fewer bullets, better looking. And again, W on your keyboard, and everything is snappy and clean looking, right? So that's how you start with baseline grid, guides, document grid, and whatnot. So again, so this original tutorial to create this thing, the link in the assignment outline is defunct. It's now error 404. So let's refer to my little mini tutorial and deleting all this. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.